Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to India and good evening Fee, who is currently in the US. My name is Marc Weinmann and I'm here with my colleagues to discuss our topic this afternoon. It is gearing up for a better tomorrow in the tooling industry. And I would suggest that we start with a quick introduction. I myself, Marc Weinmann, am the owner of VEM Tooling. We currently have 5 facilities in the world. We are in China, we're in Thailand, we're in India, in Pune, we are in Mexico and in Bulgaria. We make about 600 injection molds per year, and we also have about 35 injection machines in our group, and we do plastic injection molding and also some medical assemblies in a clean room. Amit, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Amit Kumar Parashar. I'm working as Vice President Tool Room. Subros is basically a auto air conditioner supplier to major OEMs in India. Maruti Suzuki, Tata Motors, Renault Nissan, Mahindra & Mahindra, Force Motors. So we have a captive tool room, and also we are doing tooling for the external customers also. So the tool room is based at Noida, and we are making all 3 kinds of tools, that is injection mold, press tools, as well as die casting tools. Thank you.
Arvind, is he here? No, he's probably still dialing in. So Martin, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, good afternoon for Indian colleagues and good morning, good evening to Marc. So myself, Martin Pinto, I'm heading ARC Shapers India in Pune. We are part of Mitsui and ARC Corporation Japan. Now this is 25 years old company now, so we are almost quite experienced with all customers. We are developing large, medium, small tools. So more focus on large tools. We are making around 100 plus tools per year, and we have around 160 plus people working for a company. We focus on more large tools. On main customer, we are directly working with MSIL, Honda, Mahindra, Nissan, Isuzu. Also, we have made some bumper IP tools. So that is the key area what we have. We have a strong team with us who is supporting us to build these tools. We are also making prototyping tooling for customers like MSIL, for Hero and many other customers. And also we are providing tooling services for all customers in Pune region as well as other part of India. So this is about Shapers India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Vinod. Vinod, sorry, you have to unmute your microphone.
Thank you. My name is Vinod Kubher, and I'm with the Prabha group. We have a die shop that makes stamping dies for sheet metal components.
Now, am I visible?
And we also have production of truck components. These are sheet metal assemblies,
thank you.
like truck beds and tipper bodies and foot bodies, cabinets, etc. The early part of my career, I worked on product, Jeep platform engineering in the US, and now I help manage our die shop and press shops.
Vinod, thank you very much. Arvind, could you please introduce yourself and your company?
Good afternoon, Marc. Good afternoon, panelists, and good afternoon, all the viewers, ladies and gentlemen. I am Arvind Chawla. I am Managing Director of Zahoransky Moulds and Machines Private Limited. Zahoransky is known for reliability, precision, and sophisticated technology. The foundation of the company was laid in 1902 by Anton Zahoransky in Germany. We have 5 manufacturing plants, and Coimbatore plant is the only plant out of Europe. We are specialists in 3 verticals. Basically, we are molds and machine for the brush industry. Any brush, we are there for supply you the technology. Plus, we have FMCG and medical area. So we take care of 3 verticals, but in India, we have taken care for oral care, and now we are entering into FMCG. We have strength of approximately 160 people. We make 150 to 160 molds every year. Most of the molds are 2-component, 3-component, automatic, all by injections. Our new facility, we got the 93 points from IGBC, which is the greenest building of India. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arvind. As we all know, the tooling industry is having a very, very interesting time. We have lots of changes coming, but we also have a lot of challenges at the same time. So one of the big challenges, which is on everybody's mind, which we hear every day, which actually forces us to be together virtually and online and not in person, is COVID. And COVID has brought up a lot of challenges to the tool makers, and it has on the one side, for some of them, reduced growth, but at the same time, there is a lot of business opportunities. Vinod, could you share a little bit with us your current situation with the virus? And sorry, unmute, please.
Yes, somebody else is muting mine. I'm going to give actual examples of what we've gone through in the recent past. The first example I want to give is one of the activities of die making. The last part of it is often called prove out or commissioning, where we send a team of die makers to our customer site, and they make the final adjustments, do a final tryout, home line adjustments, etc. Normally, this is a non-event. We identify a set of people and we just send them on. They go do the commissioning activity and come back. But with the advent of COVID, that's not so straightforward. It was very difficult about 2 months ago, 3 months ago. But even now, that requires a lot of planning and other things in light of the current situation. So that's one example at the later part of the die development cycle. If you take an example of early part of die development cycle, we took on certain orders with certain plans and stuff. And some of the sophisticated parts we use in our tooling are imported, like nitrogen springs and certain other sophisticated parts. They often come from Europe, in some cases from the Far East. So in those cases, based on availability and timeline, we're having to do a lot of changes on the fly so we can at least stay close to schedule. So that's another example of the actual issues we're seeing in the development process. So if you piggyback off the last point, which is if we're importing some of the sophisticated parts and we're having a hard time doing so, it's quite possible that the bulk of dies that are imported into India, those customers have some difficulty in obtaining those dies from overseas also. So obviously this provides some sort of an opportunity for us. So that's sort of our take on this thing.
Thank you. I just wanted to add one more thing from my international point of view. You know, everybody is kind of saying, oh, the Chinese are the big winners because they only had a 5-week shutdown after the Chinese New Year in March. But if you look at the Western world, we have been facing the virus for 8-9 months now, and we were forced to adapt, and we have gone virtual. We have now the virtual meeting here with Tagma, and we do a lot of things working from home and from remote. There might be a long-term opportunity for the Western world that the shutdown from the COVID actually forces us to innovate, whereas the Chinese don't do this. But this is only one thing from me from the side. Arvind, the tooling industry in India is supposed to be $2.5 billion US, which is a lot in kroner. Sorry, I'm not so familiar with the currency. And Tagma estimates that about 70% is being met domestically and still 30% is being imported, which was much higher a few years ago. What can Indian tool makers do to even reduce their competition and supply more from the domestic?
Yeah, very good observation, Mark. See, if I start with the COVID, because this is the top of the topic. So COVID is just one situation. If COVID is not there, some other situation will come. In any situation, how we are equipped to handle it, that is important for us. Now, as your figure shows, we have 18,000 crore. That means $2.5 billion worth of business in India. 70% of it is fine, we are doing, but what we are importing is still 5,500 crore Indian rupees. And you know the average tool room makes how much turnover? Maybe 10 crores or 50 crores maximum side. So you can see there are possibility of 100 to 500 new tool rooms to develop here and take care of the business what we are getting from import. If you see the root cause of this import, you know, all the people who are doing the import, they know that we have a very good industry in India and there are very good tool makers in India which can do the job for them. If it is because of the technology or the know-how, then I can understand it is a long-term. TAGMA and Indian government should see that how we can develop our skills so much that we technically know how the things what we are not having. But practically speaking, that is not the root cause for that. If you go for the cost, yes, that is one of the major root causes. The cost of import versus cost of manufacturing here is a big difference. We are from tooling industry and many tool room people will agree with me that the cost of mold waste is sometimes the cost of mold when we import from China. How it is possible? Indian tool maker cannot do anything for that. The raw material is so costly, the hardware is so costly. What we have is a cheap labor. And believe me, cheap labor is not cheap if they are really less paid. It will, at the end of the day, they will be more costly than the skilled labor. So the reason for cost also is not very well can be addressed until mid-term we have to take it. TAGMA and Indian government is required. The third thing which is very important is our approach. You know, many times people are ready to pay, but they don't like the approach here. If they have a commitment, they don't want to listen an excuse at the end of the date that, oh, because of this reason, it is not possible. And nobody is going to inform you also why it was not there so that they can change the plan. The business is there. We have to set our approach right. And it must be a emotional approach towards the customer. We have to understand his requirement and make the business accordingly. Our government, like our leader, Mr. Narendra Modi, I like him because he is not for sale. That is a very plus point for him. But he is telling, go vocal for local. And the reality is, the moment our local gets more business, he becomes vocal. So he will ask you to stand in a queue. He will not listen to you. He will just look for the people who are paying him for his terms and conditions. So we have to change it. For changing this, we have to start from the people who are yet to come in our industry, who are in school or colleges learning something for coming to industry. How to work with the requirement of industry. The moment they come out of the college with a degree, they are not usable for us. So we have to implant these things right from the beginning of their culture where they are getting. And I have a very one idea which I think the platform of TAGMA can take this. Like our good minister, or Nitin Gadkari was also telling there should be some partnership between tooling and government. Why don't we create a hub wherein whoever is doing import should approach this area and we should offer them what are the problems, how we can provide you the toolings of that cost and that timeline and this quality.
Arvind, thank you. I can feel your emotions. So it's good to see that you're really into it. You started mentioning the government. So as we all know, in our industry, there's a lot of challenges. There's difficulty is financing. It's the problem with skilled manpower. The government doesn't really have fully industry-friendly policies and export incentives in place. So what would be the initiatives from the government and from associations that could help our industry? Martin, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, thank you for that. I think Mr. Arvind was putting light on the right topic. And yes, tooling industry in India is a bit challenging. If I see tooling in China and Korea, they are really much ahead. But yes, talking about the politics, what is going on today, yes, government today is quite positive. They are putting some efforts. Yesterday, Mr. Gadkari was talking about quite positive things. We can take up a lot of things from that. And they are trying to strengthen our industry, which is very important. What we can see is that they are putting more effort for localization. And when I was discussing with customers like MSIL, they have target to localize 100% in India. For them, it is not going to be easy because yes, again, that challenges are quite high. They are always calling me, telling that okay, you have to increase more capacity, we have to increase a lot of things, but which is not possible. They are trying to also create, the OEMs are trying to move for localization and trying to reduce the imports, which is very positive. Also, I can see some developments are going on skill building, but it's not still enough. We have to work on it. The major decision to increase more numbers in MSMEs, MSME, that is positive for us because most of the tool makers are coming under MSME, and which we should take some benefit of that. Additionally, I was always talking about we need to improve on this. Some tools imported from Korea, they get some tax benefit. Think we have to think of that area. Instead of that, we should allow the more elements like tool steel, the mold bases, or you can say large mold bases, hot runners, the more standard parts, which we should allow to bring it where we can do more tools in India. That is going to be a benefit for us, and also simplify some areas like custom clearance is one of the key area now where we don't have enough control. So we have to work on it. We need to create some clusters for supporting tool making industry like us, where we can do minimum investment and take care. And what I can see also, currently the TAGMA is working a lot and trying their best. And I think we have the good leader here, because DK Sharma is trying to be very positive and support us and trying to get good support from government bodies. And yesterday also he was trying to do the same thing with Mr. Gadkari. I think those things we have to take away as a positive point, and we need to work on it. I think there is a lot of possibility to work on this area. So this is from my side. Thank you very much.
I think we have lost Marc due to the connectivity.
Arvind, it's Marc in Marc's absence.
Yeah, as I can see, Marc is not visible here, so I will just take the discussion forward. So I agree with you, Mr. Martin, that a lot of things we need to change now. But regarding this automotive, since the market has opened up after the lockdown, the figure in the automotive industry is very encouraging. So, Mr. Amit, do you think the growth in the Indian automotive industry is back after slowdown for a year?
Yes, I think the figures surely support the statement, and the fact that the post-COVID, the preferences of the people, the way they used to transit is changing. And one of the significant factors suggesting healthy economic revival is the growth registered in the automobile sector. So if we see the sales number recorded by Hyundai shows that it has never had such a good October since its debut in India. The total sales, including domestic and export, is 8.2% higher than the October 19 figures. And perhaps the biggest growth story in automobile sector is charted by Maruti Suzuki, which reported a staggering 17.9% year-on-year growth in October 20 compared to October 19, solidifying the revival story. And similar is the story for Hero MotoCorp, which recorded a growth of 35% as compared to the corresponding month of last year's. And same for Bajaj Auto, which has showed a spectacular rise of 18% a year ago. And if we see the revenues collected from GST, they have surpassed 1 lakh crore in October 20, 10% off from the previous year, the highest since February 2020. The increased GST collection, I think, is one of the clearest sign yet of the economic recovery after it registered 23.9% contraction in the first quarter of the year. So definitely the picture is promising, and with the COVID rate reducing in India in the coming months will lead to the markets getting more open to the consumer and increasing the demand further. Thank you.
But Mr. Amit, one more thing we have observed that most of the major global auto manufacturers countries have a strong domestic tooling industry, with India being an exception. As a significant part of tool demand is still met via imports. So what are the reasons you think for the same, and how to overcome this situation in India?
Yeah, if we see the vehicle production ranking, then globally China is on the top, followed by US, Japan, India, Germany, Mexico, South Korea, where India is at number 4th. But if we see tooling industry ranking, then China being at the top, it is followed by US, Japan, Germany, South Korea, and other countries, and India is at 12th position. So definitely the key reasons behind these are that there are very few tool rooms which are producing critical part toolings, basically adherence to strict quality requirements, both side panels, fenders, critical tools like LED lights, backlights, etc. is an issue. Also, the quality level in high aesthetic parts which require a specific texturing and a smooth finish. That's the area where Indian tool rooms have to come out in a big way. The third factor is the workforce skill gap, as my panelists have already discussed upon, especially in the area of design in CAE, and also low ability to respond to design changes, which do happen in the automobile sectors. And last and very important factor is infrastructure and capacity of advanced CNC machining and reliable subcontracting base for job works make it difficult to meet the delivery timelines. So basically, quality, meeting global standards, and the lead time are the major issues faced by the local die and mold making industry, which we need to overcome. Indian tool rooms face high delivery time compared to overseas tool makers due to vast difference in infrastructure and supply ecosystem. If we compare a typical automotive mold making from order confirmation to T1, where global tool rooms are taking anywhere from around 2.5 to 3 months, Indian tool rooms are taking 5 to 6 months. So to be globally competitive, I think we have to address following concern area, that is inadequate infrastructure and capacity, then dimensional accuracy and consistency. Third is the commercial approach and less focus on upgradation of technology. Surely higher cost of production is a key issue. Shortage of skilled manpower leading to longer delivery times, and inadequate project planning, which is not adopted in modern manufacturing process. But on the upside, I will say that Indian tool rooms are able to provide a flexibility to change design post finalization of specs, which global tool rooms are very rigid stance they take. And ability to work closely with the clients and maintain a long-term relationship is something which Indian tool room is very much into it. And also flexibility to cope up with changes, which is manufacturing wide range of tools and catering to the needs of industry. And I think nowhere globally like Indian tool rooms, the commitment which is there in the Indian tool room workforce, which is ready to work 24/7 all through the year. I think that is really a big positive step as far as Indian tool room is concerned. Thank you.
Good overview. Actually, see the thing is now the automobile industry is going through an uncertain time. And people are always looking for what are the other emerging sectors, what a toolmaker can do other than automotive. I will just take you to a brief experience what I have with this industry. I started working in 89. So I can say, okay, 89 you count as just learning, but early 90s I started working. At that time, you must have seen that there was no admission board very common in the tool room. Even the person who is making the die, who is the customer, is not allowed to visit the tool rooms. People used to hide the things. Okay, and they think that okay, if I hide the things, nobody will catch. But who? Somebody else will catch it. Some other country will catch it. And China, last 40 years, the change in the China tooling industry is drastically very, very high. And in India, we are keeping the same, maintaining the same by no admission board putting out. We are not allowing anybody to see, and we are not allowing any new ideas to come in. Whenever we talk about the quality or timeline or the cost, always quality comes last. Maybe not for the all, but many of the people, they will think the cost first, timeline second, and quality third. This was a trend since long. Now, if you want a good quality with a low cost, then it cannot be a fast. If you want fast and good quality, it cannot be low cost. And if you want low cost and fast, it cannot be good quality. So you cannot get all three. Idea is to how to work in a systematic way that we can achieve all three things. All the tool rooms at the beginning, they make up project planning, design this many weeks, then procurement this many weeks, then machining, then EDM, wire EDM, CNC milling, polishing, then trial 1, trial 2, and I don't know how many number of trials. The actual realization comes when the mold is during assembly stage, because the customer is doing the pressure at that time, and then they see how to make it fast. During assembly stage, you cannot cut down the timeline. If you want to cut down the timeline, you have to cut when you are drawing the lines. All the lines are one after the other. You can have three activities. One is start, one is end, one is end. You means all the tool room, I can say we have to focus on the activities, how many activities we can start at the moment today, and how many activities which cannot be done in parallel, like you cannot do polishing unless EDM or machining is done. So that you are stuck up. But how many activities you can start, and then you will think of your tool room, your capacity. If you are booked, you will never think of outsourcing it. You will always try to push the timeline. That I am booked for 1 month, the next order is coming, let it go to 5th week, let it go to 6th week, let it go to 7th week. And then our neighbor may be having capacity, but he is not utilizing it. But we don't have any communication, we don't have any coordination wherein we can pool the job. We can make sure how many activities our neighbor or our fellow tool room also can do, and collectively we can reduce the timeline. See, this is the time to work collectively. We have to become, whenever I go to Germany, then only I become Indian. The moment I come to India, I again become either Punjabi or Gujarati or South Indian. So we have to collectively see how many machines we have in, suppose, Coimbatore. Then we should have how many jobs we have in Coimbatore. Somebody is sitting idle, somebody is overloaded. We should pool it. We should divide the number of jobs, and everybody will share the profit. We will share the risk, and the growth is very common. Now, other than automobile, we have lot of things like white goods, FMCG, medical, household, gift items. Our Diwali gifts are coming from China. Our Holi Pichkari is coming from China. Our small light is coming from China. We dare not put a mold, because we know the cost of the mold is very high, the production is very high, and the risk, next market, new design will come. So all these things are required a very quick rotation. So either you equip yourself first and then wait for opportunity, or when the opportunity will come, then you start equipping yourself, which is not possible. We have to equip ourselves for the challenges. Now, for example, the toilets were made the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan and the bank accounts were open. So in COVID situation, we are really not so stressed. Can you imagine in COVID time, you cannot go out and there is no toilet in so many houses. So it comes what you do. You have to prepare yourself. You have to invest in good tooling. You have to invest in good skilled labor. And like I have a principal company in Germany. So I see labor is very costly. They cannot afford to polish longer. So they finish the cavities in machine. They cannot afford to do the assemblies longer. So they make sure that everything is checked when it comes to assembly line. They cannot afford to travel to attend the small complaints. So they make sure that the tool is so precise, so rigid that it will not give a complaint. How many of us are thinking like this when we are not really challenged by this? If you are able to supply the plastic parts, then definitely you have a skilled person who is skilled in deflashing the part, not in setting the mold right. Because you will spend less, hardly few thousand rupees you have to spend, and that guy is sitting for a month finishing all the parts. You will not take a pain to repair your molds. So these are the things which we have to start working before it comes to you. The labor is going to be costly here. Definitely the cost of land, cost of machine will be more and more. If we try to make the same hours what European toolmakers are making, then the cost of per person is very less, and that will be your profit, directly cash in your hand. So as Marc is not there, I will take Mr. Martin's your opinion. What toolmaker need to do in order to attract projects from not automobile sector?
Mr. Arvind, thank you very much. I think you are taking us in the planning, processing, assembly, and tryout. I think this is the real experience, and all toolmakers we have gone through this experience. Yes, we all say that we are a cheap labor, but not exactly. The labor is becoming expensive in India. We have to use them effectively, and that's what we need to work on. Good machining, good planning, and also minimum assembly. We should do it. And with my team, I'm also doing the same thing, that we need to work on these areas, as future is going to be tough if you not take care in this requirement and not make quality first time right. Apart from this, yes, what I understand the question is there for the projects for the non-automotive sector. There are a lot of sectors are opening now, like defense, aerospace, railways, the metros, other sectors are there where we can get the opportunity. But thing is that are we ready for that? And it looks like we are not even ready for the automotive. How can we ready there? But there also the more challenges will be there. But saying so, we need to work on some knowledge, because toolmakers not having the full knowledge of the projects available, what kind of projects, from where we can get the orders. So I think we need to create some kind of platform where we need to catch up this requirement and then float it to the toolmakers, where they can be ready for tomorrow to support this industry and make localization to it, where we can think of growing the industry better way. So we need to create this strong platform. At the same time, we need to also look into other areas like metal to plastic requirements building up, where we need to work on. And I think there are a lot of opportunities out there, and which we can work on to take care tomorrow. Think that yes, automotive, there is a 30% load is there actually, which we are importing, which can be transformed in India, as well as we can create new business through this non-automotive sector like aerospace, railways, you can say defense and other areas, which we should try to make it possible to build tooling in India. This is from my side. Thank you very much.
Yes, very, very nicely covered. Those things are very, very much important. And I think we are all from tooling background, and we have to, first of all, we should be proud tool maker. We should be proud that we know the tool making. It's not easy job. See, there was a time when the tool maker was working without any much equipments of the programming or CAD/CAM support. At that time, really, it was worth praising him with the hand skill. But now with the hand skill, you should be smart enough to use the technology and reduce the time, and repeatability is very important in that. So, Mr. Vinod, if I come to you on the technology adoption, what are the technology trends in the tooling industry, and how the machine learning will shape the industry, and what you think Indian tool makers, are they equipped enough to tackle the global competition?
I'll take the second part of the question on whether we're like equipped enough, right? I'll take that first because I'm not much of an expert on the first part. I look at it and I give an answer of yes and no. Are we equipped? If you walk down my die shop, you're going to find certain CNC machines, certain new machines, and so on. And I bet you if you walk down the die shop of my equivalent die shop in Taiwan, you'll find much of the same machines. In some cases, even older machines or less sophisticated machines. But guess who's currently putting out better dies? My shop or my equivalent shop in the Far East, in Japan or in Taiwan? Definitely Japan or Taiwan, which is why a lot of OEMs from here are going over there for certain skin panels and things like that. So we're probably equipped in terms of the hardware, but with the same machine, we're not able to get the same types of output product that our competitors in other countries are able to get. On the software side too, one of my friends who runs a die shop in North America, talking to him, I explained that we've gotten a certain new version of CAM software, and I would use that to do some machining. And his take was, no, we actually operate with something that's like, I think it was like a 10-year-old version at that time. And I could see that even with that, they were like so efficient in terms of the time they took, which translates obviously to very good costs and margins. They were also very good in terms of quality. So here you go, I have better machines and I have better software, but I'm not able to put out a tool or die as good as the people in the US or Japan or Taiwan. So the thing that needs to set in here is a slight change in our approach. In my own shop, I've had some limited success here and there, but it's clear that we have to push on that front. Yesterday, one of the points that the minister made was innovation, right? Of course, in all aspects, innovation is what quite often gets you there. Here, I think that's going to be one of the keys for us to succeed or improve and achieve a lot of our goals, whether it's doing more dies instead of imports. One of the speakers mentioned we're like the number 4th auto market, but we're like the number 12th tooling industry, right? So if that's got to change, it's very lopsided. If it's got to seesaw a little bit, I think innovation is in order. I also think among customers, credibility needs to improve. If a certain request comes from an overseas die maker, it's taken a little more seriously, and that's because of a small credibility gap, and I think we need to work towards improving it. That's going to happen only with a lot of communication and establishing a track record of good accuracies and sound thinking and so on.
Yes, you are right in that sense. This credibility can be spoiled in a day, but it cannot be created in a day. That is the problem, and it takes long time to do the job continuously right, and then the news spreads and the people will talk about that. And regarding technology, what you are saying, the latest things are definitely good, but it depends whether you need it or not, because the quality is what customer will decide, not we, for the product at least. And the product will decide the process. You cannot have a process and decide the product. You have to go reverse. You always start the product, and based on the product, you decide the process, whether it needs automation, whether it needs a manual transfer, I will give you one example. In Germany, we have a mold running since more than 6 years. It is a 7 injection barrel. It's a beautiful injection molding machine with 7 barrels, and it is a toothbrush mold. So 4 different colors come out of the mold. There are 4 each of maybe red, green, yellow, and blue. 4 different brushes are coming out of that mold. It is coming with a robo on a conveyor, and then a color sensor robo will pick and place it according to the sequence set, maybe 2, 2, 2 or 1, 1, 1 like this, and then it will go for packaging. And there is nobody except one person who is just taking the carton out from there. Now, if you take this project, any of the Asian countries, first of all, we will never think of investing so much. We will try to invest in a normal mold. We will change the color every second day or every day to make it next color. Then we have so much of wastage of plastic and so much of time loss. People are there to collect the handles and then they will place. If you run the mold for 2 years in the technology, what I have seen, the return of investment is already done. If your component life is more than 2 years, then here in India, you are anyway making the loss. So deciding the technology right from the beginning is very important. If you want a cheap or low cost product, you have to invest in high quality machine so that your timeline should be less. The cycle time plays a major role. Your investment of complete company depends on the number of machines you have and how much products you are having. If you have a 10% better cycle time, complete investment is improved by 10%. So that is the case. So actually you skipped the question of emerge of Industry 4. Maybe I will take this question to Mr. Amit. Mr. Amit, what you think Industry 4 and hybrid manufacturing is being around for a long time now? Do you think companies will opt for automation post COVID-19?
See, this is, I think, because manufacturing of more dies and molds required significant link in the entire production chain, and a lot of automation as well as the technology becomes part of it. If we see now companies which are working to incorporate IoT into EDM, for example, the introduction of remote diagnostics. The machining operation in the EDM can be monitored in real time remotely through internet. Also, to get the maximum out of EDM, manufacturers are coming with the idea of hybrid systems, that is combining EDM with other machining processes. So EDM has become smarter and is able to produce fine surface, fine finish, especially for micro molds. So with the concept of Industry 4.0 and IoT becoming more prominent in manufacturing sector, EDM is moving towards advancement with cloud-based machining and remote diagnostics of machining processes. But whether it is IoT or hybrid manufacturing, I think tool rooms will go for it in case there's a business proposition at a lower cost. So it needs to be seen as to how government can support Indian tool rooms in adopting these latest technologies, because if the technologies are available and with the government kind of support is there, definitely I think all tool rooms will like to go and adopt such kind of latest technology, which finally will improve the productivity and reduce the cycle time, which we all feel that it is compared to the other competitive markets. Right now, Indian tool rooms takes more than what they are offering.
Rightly said. So we have reached the end of our session, and I am still missing Marc. He must have congratulated us for sharing our views. And if I can ask a last question to share your views on what short and long-term opportunities do you see amid this COVID-19 crisis and growing geopolitical situation? Just a less than 1 minute thought.
Yeah, I can start with that. The thing is that for the short term, yes, I think this COVID has taught us many things, and we need to really look into automation today, because that can help us to avoid the thinking that man connection and the safety of people. Those things we can improve. In the further long term, we have to also look into the current issues with the China-US tussle. I think there are some opportunities available for us. So we have to see how we can be ready to take this opportunity, and we can be more proactive in this, making more serious business for the future. Thank you.
Mr. Vinod?
Obviously, there's these short-term COVID-related problems and all that. And I think when the vaccine hits, which I'm very upbeat about, we're all going to be like really behind at that point. We need to have delivered stuff yesterday. But for sure, there's going to be a lot of opportunity, right? And we have to start thinking, taking risks and stuff like that, because there is a window of opportunity. If we dive in at this time, I think opportunities are enormous. And if we let it go, I think we're going to miss out a lot.
Mr. Amit?
Yeah, I think on short-term basis, the tool supply from Asian countries, which has got delayed and restricted travel, industry is looking to make up for the loss through order realization domestically. So the opportunity exists where these gaps can be filled by the Indian tool room industry, and we should be ready to take up the challenge and deliver. And for long term, the promising factor is the Atmanirbhar Bharat Make in India campaign by the government, which is focusing on localization of tooling and is coming as a major thrust area in automotive and non-automotive sector. So I think with the right kind of synergy which is there right now, I think there's a lot of opportunities existing for Indian tool rooms.
Yeah, from my side also, the in the history of the tooling industry, I think this is the best time we have. We have very good technology. We have very good government which is willing to do some cooperation with us. So skill development, manpower improvement is our business. We have to improve our labor. We have to take more trainees and train them for this. From association like TAGMA, we request to support us with some finance, low interest cost loans maybe, because our customers are asking for 60 to 90 days payment as if we are the financial associations and not the tool rooms. So that is a very killing thing for us. And industry friendly policies are really we are looking for. Like the export, when you want to do export, the cost of exporting a container is so high. It's 10% of my project sometime. And still you are standing in a queue. You are waiting for containers. Like we don't have proper mother vessels to export from the south region, and the export drawback, little bit what we get, there is a reduction on that. So we should be encouraged by giving us more benefits when we export. And considering all these things, on behalf of Marc, I thank you TAGMA for giving us the opportunity to put up our points, and we take this forward. For in the future, we will be in touch and we will try to work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your